At 45 years old, Carlos King has found himself in the middle of one of the biggest controversies surrounding reality television in recent years. Known as a mastermind of dramatic storytelling and powerful television moments, Carlos has built a career on creating shows that keep viewers talking. But this time, fans are not applauding his work. Instead, many are blasting him for allegedly trying to reconnect Martell, Holt and Melody, a former couple whose complicated past has already been played out publicly. The situation has raised questions about boundaries, control, and the role of producers in the personal lives of the stars they work with. What started as whispers about Carlos nudging the two back together has now grown into a firestorm of criticism, forcing the entire reality TV community to reflect on where the line should be drawn. For years, Martell and Melody were one of the most talked about couples in reality television. On screen, they seemed to have undeniable chemistry. Their partnership drew in viewers because of the passion, drama, and intensity that followed them wherever they went. They quickly became a couple that fans rooted for, discussed online, and followed through every twist and turn. But off-screen, the story was different. Insiders close to the couple spoke about long-standing disagreements, emotional distance, and goals that no longer aligned. Rumors about tension and fractures in the relationship had been swirling quietly behind the scenes for years. Despite the public appearances that sometimes painted a picture of unity, the real story was far more complicated and layered with personal struggles. Enter Carlos King, who has always been known for his ability to shape reality television into a blend of entertainment and authenticity. His style as a producer has often involved finding ways to highlight real emotions while weaving them into a storyline that would keep viewers glued to their screens. But with Martell and Melody, his approach allegedly crossed a boundary. Sources claim that Carlos pushed for a romantic reunion between the two, not because of their personal desires, but because he believed it would reignite their on-screen chemistry and boost ratings. To him, this was about creating television that would trend, generate headlines, and spark conversation. But to many fans and critics, it was an invasion into the personal lives of people who had already experienced public pain and emotional turmoil. The alleged plan did not stop at suggesting the idea of reconciliation. Insiders say Carlos arranged private meetings with both Martell and Melody separately, framing the possibility of reunion as a second chance, a way to heal, or even an opportunity to give fans what they had been hoping for. These meetings, while presented as discussions, carried a weight that many considered pressure. Fans later pointed to cryptic social media posts, shared locations, and subtle hints dropped in interviews as signs that Carlos was trying to create situations that would push the two back into each other's orbit. It wasn't casual matchmaking. It was a carefully crafted attempt to influence real emotions for the sake of a narrative, and this is what sparked outrage once the details began to leak. When the public first caught wind of Carlos's alleged strategy, the reaction was swift and intense. Social media exploded with debates, criticism, and shock. Fans who had supported Martell and Melody through their ups and downs were not ready to see their personal choices manipulated for the sake of television. Twitter, Instagram, and reality TV forums filled with comments accusing Carlos of going too far. Hashtags criticizing his involvement began to trend, and discussions broke out about whether producers should ever involve themselves in the personal romantic lives of their stars. Many argued that Martell and Melody deserved peace, space, and respect for their choices, especially given the history they had already endured in front of cameras. Some industry insiders defended Carlos, saying that producers often influence storylines, suggest interactions, and push for moments that will keep the audience engaged. They argued that this is a common part of reality TV and that Carlos was simply doing his job. But others strongly disagreed, pointing out that romance and emotional history are not the same as creating staged drama. In this case, the manipulation touched on real feelings and past pain, and that distinction made it ethically questionable. It wasn't just about creating a dramatic scene. It was about tampering with something deeply personal, which many fans felt was unacceptable. What made the situation even more controversial was the division between Martell and Melody themselves. Some reports claimed that at times, there seemed to be openness or curiosity about what the future could hold. But at other moments, there were signs of frustration and discomfort. Insiders suggested that the pressure from Carlos and the production side created emotional stress for both of them. Friends and family reportedly stepped in at times to protect their well-being, warning them about the risks of being influenced by a producer. Martell allegedly expressed anger at the feeling of being manipulated, while Melody voiced concerns that any reunion orchestrated by outside forces could never be authentic. As this story unfolded online, fans became even more invested. Every cryptic post, every subtle comment, and every photo was dissected for meaning. Some fans celebrated the idea of reconciliation, holding on to the hope that Martell and Melody could find their way back to each other. Others, however, strongly condemned Carlos, saying his interference ignored the emotional cost and personal boundaries of the individuals involved. The debate was no longer just about one producer's actions. It became a broader conversation about the role of producers in reality TV and the responsibilities they have toward their cast members. Entertainment news outlets picked up on the controversy, further amplifying it. Headlines called out Carlos for allegedly treating Martell and Melody as pawns in a larger game. Opinion pieces debated whether this was simply television strategy or something far more exploitative. The discussion reached beyond the fans of the show, pulling in media critics, cultural commentators, and even other figures within the reality TV industry. Carlos's reputation, once celebrated for producing some of the most talked about shows, began to be questioned. Was his talent for drama worth the emotional toll it might take on the stars he worked with? Behind the cameras, the situation reportedly grew more tense. Insiders revealed that there were heated discussions, moments of emotional breakdowns, and even talk of Martell and Melody cutting ties with Carlos altogether. At one point, friends and associates of the former couple were said to be deeply divided. Some thought a reunion could be healing, while others believed the interference was dangerous and manipulative. This created friction not only between Carlos and the stars but also within the broader circle of people connected to them. The emotional weight of the situation was heavy, and every private meeting carried stakes that went beyond television ratings. The tension eventually reached a boiling point when reports of a final confrontation between Carlos, Martell, and Melody emerged. According to insiders, this meeting was filled with raw honesty, explosive exchanges, and emotional declarations. Both Martell and Melody reportedly made it clear that they felt boundaries had been crossed and that their personal choices should not be dictated by anyone outside their relationship. For Carlos, it was a moment that forced him to face criticism directly. For fans, it was proof that the couple was not willing to let their lives be controlled by production strategy. The fallout from this confrontation spilled into the public eye almost immediately. Social media erupted once again, with fans praising Martell and Melody for standing their ground. Hashtags about manipulation, boundaries, and respect began to trend, while critics doubled down on their belief that Carlos had gone too far. The digital storm surrounding the incident made it impossible for anyone involved to escape the attention. Media outlets released detailed reports about the meeting, framing it as one of the most controversial moments in reality TV history. Commentators highlighted the lessons that could be learned, particularly about the importance of respecting personal agency in unscripted television. The incident also had ripple effects throughout the reality TV industry. Other producers, cast members, and insiders reportedly began using the situation as a cautionary tale. Discussions about ethics, consent, and respect for boundaries became more prominent. The idea that a producer could orchestrate something as sensitive as a romantic reunion sparked a larger debate about where entertainment should end and personal lives should begin. Even colleagues of Carlos allegedly reached out privately to express concern about how the situation was being perceived and what it could mean for his long-term reputation. For Martell and Melody, the controversy was both empowering and challenging. On one hand, standing up to the pressure allowed them to reclaim their story and assert their independence. On the other hand, it placed them back in the public spotlight in ways that reopened old wounds and created new speculation. Every post they made, every interview they gave, was scrutinized for hidden meaning, with fans analyzing whether there was still tension, hope, or closure between them. This made navigating the aftermath difficult, as their personal choices continued to be consumed by an audience eager for updates. Carlos King, meanwhile, faced an uphill battle with his image. While some loyal supporters defended him as a visionary producer, many critics labeled his actions as overstepping and manipulative. The backlash was not just about one storyline but about the broader implications of blending entertainment with personal emotions. For an industry built on blurring lines between reality and performance, the controversy forced uncomfortable questions about accountability, responsibility, and the true cost of reality television drama. The story did not simply fade away. Lingering tensions, unresolved feelings, and fan speculation kept the controversy alive. Even as Martell and Melody tried to move forward, fans continued to debate the impact of Carlos's involvement. Would he try similar strategies with other stars? Would producers across the industry take the lesson to heart? The incident became a reference point in conversations about the future of reality TV, serving as both a warning and a reflection of the industry's challenges. Ultimately, the Carlos King controversy at age 45 highlighted how delicate the balance is between creating captivating television and respecting the personal boundaries of the people whose lives are on display. It showed how quickly admiration for a producer's work can shift into criticism when emotions are manipulated and lines are crossed. It reinforced the idea that even in reality television, where drama is expected, there must be limits that prioritize the well-being and autonomy of the cast. The saga of Carlos, Martell, and Melody was not just about a failed attempt at reconciliation. It was about control, respect, and the power dynamics that shape the entertainment we consume. By the end of it all, fans, insiders, and the industry at large were left with lessons about transparency, consent, and boundaries. Carlos King's attempt to reconnect Martell, Holt, and Melody became more than just a reality TV storyline. It became a case study in the ethics of production, a controversy that sparked reflection across the entertainment world, and a reminder that behind every storyline are real people with real emotions who deserve respect. The drama that unfolded will be remembered not just for the headlines it created but for the deeper conversation it forced about the role of producers and the rights of the stars they work with.